Hey everybody, Chris here with TenantCloud, and in today's podcast, we are going to cover how to rent out your first property like a pro. And if you're like most new landlords or property managers, one of the things that you want to learn the quickest is how to rent out your properties as quickly as possible to avoid having those down units where it's just sucking money right out of your pocket, and to make sure that you're not losing money or leaving money on the table, and to make sure that you are being the best property manager or best landlord in your market. And so these are the 5 tips that we've got coming for you. Stay tuned and we'll cover them shortly. So here we are going to get right into the thick of it and cover the top ways to rent out your property as quickly as possible. Now, the number one, now keep in mind, some of these things are going to seem like common sense, and that's good because they are. But the number one thing that you want to do is you want to check the condition of your rental. You want to assess the rental's overall condition, and you want to make sure that the appliances are properly installed. Double check smoke and heat alarms. That's extremely important. You don't want something beeping when you walk into the unit with a potential applicant. You want to check the pipes, power outlets, electrical devices, etc. Those are the key things that you want to check, and also check on the curb appeal of your property, because if the property doesn't look good from the outside, then that's their first impression. And the inside, if there's anything wrong at all, that first negative outside experience is just going to translate into what they see on the inside. So again, number one, check the condition of your rental. Number two, marketing your rental. Make sure that you advertise your rentals on marketing websites outside of just your own. That way you can attract more reliable prospects and also get it in front of more people. Also, pay particular attention to providing high quality pictures of the rental. Again, this is the first impression that people have of your property, is what they see online. And if what they see online is just a photo that you've snapped with your cell phone or a cheap camera, or if it's got another resident's belongings just laying on the floor, etc., those are not good first impressions. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to stage the property and make sure that the property looks as good as possible. And when you take those photos, that property should look the best that it's ever looked. And so ideally, I like to take photos when the tenants are not in the unit, because you want to be able to stage it in such a way that it creates a good and solid first impression and makes the person say, oh, I want to see this in person. Make sure you avoid dark or blurry photos or anything weird in the photos at all. You just want to go for that optimum high quality HD photograph, and only feature those on all of your listings. Another good practice with this is make sure that your listings are consistent. Make sure that your listing can be picked out from one website to another, and make sure that your photos are in the same order. Maybe make sure that your descriptions all match, and make sure that they're all professional. Even if you do switch things up a little bit from listing to listing, because maybe that website has a little bit different of a layout or something, then at least make sure that everything is high quality and professionally done, and make sure it's consistent as possible. So that's number two, marketing your rental. Pay high attention to that, because that is your first impression with a potential applicant. Number three, screening prospective renters. This is so important, and this is a huge mistake that a lot of people make as a first-time landlord, and that is not picking the right applicants. You want to make sure that you're running a background and criminal background check and a credit report of some type, whether it's just a basic one looking for judgments or liens or foreclosures or things like that, or just a full credit check where you just get the full-blown view of their credit. And it is much better to prevent expensive evictions and payment issues beforehand than it is to spend time and money trying to resolve them after the fact. It will save you a lot of time, huge headaches, and just stress in general. Take my word on this. Make sure that you are screening your prospective renters and doing quality background and credit checks. It will save you a lot of time and trouble. So again, that's number three, screening your prospective renters properly. Number four, choose the best property management software. Obviously, this is a TenantCloud podcast, and so we are going to put TenantCloud out up front. But it is one of the best. It is the best platform for DIY landlords. and it has all the features. It's got accounting, it's got leasing, it's got applications, it's got screenings, it's got a free listing website. It syndicates to all of the marketing websites. It's a fantastic system. And whether you go with TenantCloud or another company, it is important that you use high quality property management software that helps you automate or at least semi-automate most of your job. Again, this is about eliminating the stress side of things, the manual side of things, and freeing you up to do things that you're good at doing, and kind of taking away those things that are more administrative tasks that are just time sucks. Because if anybody knows, you could spend a lot of time doing manual listings. You can do a lot of time doing data entry. You could do a lot of time generating reports, or putting data into Excel to generate reports and things of that nature. TenantCloud does all of that for you. And so again, whether you use TenantCloud or something else, of course, we recommend TenantCloud. You can sign up for a free account at tenantcloud.com and get started today. And then if you find value in it, then you can upgrade to one of our plans starting from $9 a month, or you can just stay on our free plan. It offers a ton of features. It's free forever. You don't have to worry about paying for anything. Just use it as is. There's no expiration. It's not a trial. It's truly free. So again, number 4, choose the best property management software. Number 5, last one, conduct some research. This is extremely important as well. And this is a step that a lot of landlords overlook, or they don't do it properly. Before you rent out your first property, you want to do research on rental prices in your neighborhood. You want to compare your property not only to those of the same size, but also take a look at things like, what do they include? Do they include furniture? Do they include similar appliances? Do they include hardwood flooring, or is it carpet, and things like that? And you want to make sure that you're focusing on other things like what schools and malls and medical services are nearby. Is your property in the same district as this really great school over here or not? Because that will affect your prices for your property. So make sure that you properly conduct some research, and you can do that on TenantCloud using the rent range report. And it's the only paid report on TenantCloud. It's the only report you have to pay for, and it is through a integrated partner, Rent Range, and they pull all that data for you. Again, this is about eliminating time, eliminating the manual process. You automate it. It's just a few clicks. You put in the data for the address. You pay the fee for the rent range report, and boom, you have this wealth of information at your fingertips so that you know how to properly price your rental property to maximize your rent, but also to make sure that your property doesn't end up sitting there for forever because you've overpriced it, or making sure that you're getting quality tenants, because the opposite can happen. People can see that your price is so much lower than everybody else in your market, and then they start wondering, well, what's wrong with the property? So you don't want to be either one of those. You don't want to price it too high because you don't want to be sitting on the market forever. You don't want to price it too low because, again, you might be sitting on the market for a year and a day because people are interpreting your low price as, wow, this must be a bad property. Why has nobody snapped this up yet? So again, those are the top 5 things. That 5th one was conduct some research. So we love the fact that you spent this time with us. We wanted to make this short and sweet. We wanted to clock this in under 10 minutes, and hopefully we have provided some high value for you in how to rent your first property like a pro, even if it's your 10th property. Hopefully this information was valuable to you, and we hope you stay tuned for our next podcast. And you can always comment or subscribe on any platform where you're hearing this, whether that's iTunes or Stitcher or Google Podcasts, etc. And also you can learn more about this on our blog from the July 25th post of how to rent out your first property like a pro. We go into a little bit more detail there. And as always, thank you for listening to TenantCloud. We'll talk to you next time.